Welcome to part 4 of Let's Play Talisman of Death. At the end of the last part, I was on paragraph 261. Let's reread this paragraph to remind ourselves of what we were doing. You stop a passing student who directs you to the cemetery. You run down Paul Bearer's Row, anxious to escape from the city. As you approach the cemetery, an ox cart returning from the market loses a wheel and overturns, almost blocking the road. You run for the gap between it and the cemetery wall, but it is blocked by a man with a shaven head. He wears baggy scarlet trousers which end just below the knee and a loose scarlet jacket tied with a black cotton belt. On his forehead is a tattoo of a scarlet praying mantis. He doesn't seem inclined to let you pass. Will you ask him politely to let you through? Turn to 338. Tell him to get out of your way? Turn to 311. Or attack him? Turn to 288. Okay, we're going to ask him politely to let us through. Turn to 338. And there he is. His head is a little bit like a cone head. Anyway, 338. He does not let you pass. Will you step aside and invite him to pass first? Turn to 379. Or ask him less politely to move out of the way? Turn to 311. We're going to step aside and invite him to pass first. Turn to 379. Oops. Here we are. You step back and wave the monk through. He walks past arrogantly without a word of thanks. Turn to 392. Dusk is deepening as you enter the cemetery. You begin to explore the city wall, looking for the postern gate. You do not look at the headstones for fear of finding your name at the head of an open grave. Your eye is caught by what looks like a lantern hanging from a post in the midst of the graves. Will you walk over to the lantern, turn to 274, or ignore the lantern and continue searching along the wall? Turn to 99. We're going to ignore the lantern and turn to 99 and continue searching along the wall. 99. You continue along the wall and, to your relief, find the postern gate. You duck through and out into the night beyond. Gain 1 luck point for escaping the city. Turn to 8. Okay, luck point. Yep, we're at maximum luck. Good. Turn to 8. You put several miles between yourself and Greygills and sleep the night in a hayrick. Is that yourself used correctly? Yes. You put several miles between yourself and Greygills and sleep the night in a hayrick. You awake refreshed. Gain 2 stamina points. Puts us up to 21. Which direction will you take towards the plateau? You could take the direct route, southeast across rough moorland, continue along the old trade road, due south for a while and then strike east, or head east across the heath to the hills before turning south. Okay, southeast, turn to 287, south then east, turn to 300, east then south, turn to 313. We're going to go southeast and turn to 287. Oh, missed it. There we go. The going is difficult, and the darkening skies do nothing to raise your spirits. The talisman becomes heavier with every step, and the pouring rain soaks you to the skin. You are almost thankful when night comes, and you can burrow down in the dead bracken. Unfortunately, your sleep is broken by a wild neighing. You jump up to see a massive black stallion, its eyes pits of fire, galloping towards you. It snorts clouds of glowing cinders as it strains at the bit. Its rider, a dark spectral figure, is hunched and twisted and seems to have no substance. You can sense the hatred it feels for all living things. Will you run from it, hoping it cannot charge across the broken ground? Turn to 219. Or light a torch and stand your ground? Turn to 207. We're going to light a torch and stand our ground, 10 to 207. And there is the... oh, that must have been what the monk was. Monk of the Scarlet Mantis. An expert in unarmed combat. It's a good job we let him pass. Anyway, there's the picture that applies to paragraph 287. Lovely. And let's turn to 207 because we're going to stand our ground. Your pitch-soaked torch flares brightly. The wraith reins its hell steed in before you. It carries an aura of fear, but you stare defiantly into the black emptiness of its face. It hisses with frustration and, in a voice hoarse with age, says, "Death will take what is his, and you shall become one of us. For we shall return with our full strength. We are the instruments of death." It turns its nightmarish steed and disappears into the night. Your rest thereafter is troubled, and you regain only one stamina point. Turn to 154. Okay, so we've regained another stamina point. 22. Now we're going to turn to 154. Sorry, I thought the one stamina point applied to the previous stamina points that we got, and we lost one. I was confused for a bit, but it does just mean gain one stamina point. I was looking too far into it. Anyway, 154. As the sun rises, you set off once more across the wild plains. With every hour that passes, the talisman seems to grow heavier. You realise that it is registering the presence of the minions of death. Do you wish to examine it again, turn to 138, or keep it hidden in case it may draw them to you, turn to 127. We're going to examine it again, and turn to 138. You take out the talisman and examine it carefully. For the first time you notice a glowing inscription, as if the nearness of the minions of death were lending it power. "I am Death's talisman. I am protected by the faceless ones who serve my wielder." At nightfall you build a large fire and set torches around it. Unable to sleep, you wait and listen. The talisman grows heavy. Soon the wild neighing which disturbed your sleep yesterday peals again, rending, or should that be rendering? I'll say rendering. Rendering the peace. No, I don't think it is rend. I think it is rending. I've never heard that word before. Rending the peace of the night. The chilling challenge is answered again and again. Soon, to your horror, 6 of the nightmarish horses, eyes and nostrils of flame, appear, each bearing the crooked, life-hating spirit of a wraith. They form an arc, all staring at you intently. In unison their cracked voices cry, "We are the instruments of death. We have come to claim you for our master and to take back his talisman. Will you threaten to cast the talisman into the fire?" Turn to 388. Try to break through the circle. Turn to 164. Try to use the power of the talisman. Turn to 46. We're going to try to use the power of the talisman. Turn to 46. Here we go. You raise the talisman above your head. It glows as you shout, "Begone, trouble me no more." Enthralled, they strain towards it, but your words have an immediate effect. One of them cries, "Others will take it from you, and we faceless ones will return as lords under the reign of our god, Death." His words fade as they are swallowed by the darkness. The talisman feels lighter and its glow has dimmed. You sleep deeply and gain 2 stamina points. I'm doing a lot of sleeping lately. That's my stamina up to maximum now. The next day you set off again, feeling more hopeful now that you have banished the minions of death. The plateau looms before you. Turn to 20. At last the steep cliffs surrounding the plateau tower above you. Steps have been cut into the face of the reddish rock, which you begin to climb. By midday your legs ache abominably, and you are glad to reach a ledge where you are welcomed by a cool fine spray rising from a waterfall. It cascades down the side of the plateau, casting small rainbows in the sun. and the thunderous roar is almost deafening. Will you climb on up the steps, turn to 328, or examine the waterfall, turn to 33? We're going to examine the waterfall and turn to 33. You approach the waterfall and within moments are soaked through. Looking more closely, you see a dry space behind it, under the jutting cliff face. When you jump through, a cave entrance is revealed. Will you enter the cave, turn to 42, or leave and continue up the steps, turn to 328? We're going to enter the cave and turn to 42. You manage to light a damp torch, which reveals a door at the back of the cave. The door is made of a black wood inlaid with alabaster. A raised frieze don't know what that is. A raised frieze in the center panel depicts a red dragon, a great flame shooting from its jaws, and an ivory spear. The door creaks as you open it gingerly. You step into a passage. The musty air reeks of decay. You come to a place where 4 tunnels cross. Will you advance down the tunnel ahead, turn to 71, take the left-hand tunnel, turn to 53, or take the right-hand tunnel, turn to 80? Is that it? Yeah. We are going to... We're going to take the left-hand tunnel, turn to 53. You take the left-hand tunnel, which soon turns to the right and leads into a bare stone room with a small rectangular pillar in the middle. The tunnel continues on the other side of the room. Will you examine the pillar, turn to 136? Go straight through to the tunnel opposite, turn to 89, or return to where the tunnels crossed and choose again. We are going to go straight through to the tunnel opposite, turn to 89. Okay, here we go. You walk down the tunnel, which turns right again. As you round the corner, you hear an ominous sound from the room you have just left. You dart back to see the room filling with sand and a slab of rock coming down over the entrance. It slams to the floor with a crash, and then all is quiet. You can only go on. Turn to 120. You walk down the tunnel until you come to a dark iron door. A message has been painted in shimmering letters upon it. One only may be read. You swing the door open and enter a rectangular room with iron doors in each wall. In the center of the room stand 3 small pillars, one rectangular, one circular, and one square. Will you leave the room through one of the other doors, turn to 339, examine the rectangular pillar, turn to 290, examine the circular pillar, turn to 321, or examine the square pillar, turn to 345. We're going to leave the room through one of the other doors, turn to 339. Here we are. You try all the doors, but you can only get one of them to open. You seem to have no choice, and you go through into the room beyond. It is a wide hall, stretching away to the left and right. In the center of the room stands a hideous idol. Its base is the coiled tail of a huge serpent. Its muscular torso sprouts 4 clawed arms. 2 gruesome heads, and bat-like wings. An inscription on the floor reads, Damol, son of the god Nil, mouth of the void. In the opposite wall are 4 doors, 2 to the left and 2 to the right. Each door bears a symbol. Furthest from you on the left is a green serpent. The next door bears a grinning monkey, the third a black scarab beetle, and the fourth, furthest to your right, a red dragon, breathing fire. Which door will you open? The serpent door, turn to 168, the monkey door, turn to 332, the scarab beetle door, turn to 377, or the dragon door, turn to 352. Okay, let's have a look here. There we go. That's what we're seeing right now. Okay, and we are going to choose the dragon door, 352. You open the door and step through into a passage. You have only gone a few steps when you hear the rattle of a falling chain as a portcullis drops behind you, blocking the tunnel. You can only go on into a small room ahead of you. It is a dank crypt, at the end of which lies a sarcophagus thickly covered in grey mould. You search every nook and cranny, but you cannot find a way out. You are trapped. Eventually you decide to lift the lid of the sarcophagus. The rank and fetid air, trapped inside since time immemorial, smells sickly sweet. Inside lie the mummified remains of a warrior, his skin stretched taut over brittle bones. His skeletal hand is curled around an ancient scimitar encrusted with emeralds, and an ebony spear with an ivory tip lies across his chest. Will you take the sword, turn to 387, or the spear, turn to 395? We're going to take the spear, turn to 395. And there's the mummified warrior. Okay, 395. You take the heavy spear and, looking more closely, see that the word Dragon's Bane is carved on its shaft. It is obviously magical, and you may add 1 to your skill. You may add 1 to your skill score when wielding it. But I can't do that because my skill is already at maximum. And it doesn't say it can go above my initial score. With a creak of old bones, the mummy rises from the sarcophagus. It lumbers drunkenly towards you, clutching its scimitar, bent on destroying the despoiler of its tomb. Mummy, skill 8, stamina 10. If you win, turn to 350. Mummy. 8, 10. Okay, roll for him versus my skill is 12. Let's go. 20. I get 18. So he wins the first one. Good job I got all that stamina back recently. Okay, next. 17. Now wait a minute. His stamina is 10, not his skill. His skill is 8. That should be 18. Yeah, that should be 18 and 18. Sorry, I thought his skill was... Yeah, that should be 18 and 18, so I don't lose anything. Sorry, I'm being stupid there. Being really stupid. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Well, anyway, let's do that again. So he gets 7, that's 15. I get 7, that's 19. So 15 to 19. And that means he goes down to 8. Yeah, his skill isn't 10, his stamina's 10. It's 8 now, anyway. Okay, next. 6, that's 14. 7, that's 19. So 14 to 19. And that puts him down to 6. Okay, next, we're rolling for him again. He gets a 10, that's 18. I get 6, that's 18. So 18 and 18 again. Puts him down to 4. Okay, now let's do it again. You get 6, that's 14. I get 8, that's 20. So 14 to 20. Puts him down to 2. Perhaps one more, we'll see. Okay, 11, that's 19. 11, that's 23. So 19 to 23. And that is him beaten. A couple of close calls there, but ultimately I was victorious. And a bit of stupidity at the start by me, of course. There we go. Okay, so... Okay, if you win, turn to 350. We did, so that's the end of Mummy. You notice that the base of the sarcophagus is hollow, and you break through it to find a tunnel below. You jump down and feel your way along its damp-walled windings. At last you see a circle of daylight ahead. You emerge onto the steps again, some way above the roaring waterfall, and begin to climb. Turn to 328. Oh, we're back here again. Good. That was just a detour. As you climb the steps, the temperature and humidity increase. Dripping with sweat, you look up and see that the lip of the cliff is only 60 yards above you. Suddenly, several boulders crash down from the top. Roll 2 dice. If the total is less than or equal to your skill score, turn to 308. If the total is greater than your skill score, turn to 277. Oh yeah, I forgot to say I had that ebony spear. I mean that spear, don't I? So I'll just say ebony spear. Anyway, we're testing our skill, aren't we? This needs to be 12 or less, which is guaranteed. And we get 6, so we were skillful. 308 we're going to. You flatten yourself against the cliff just in time. The boulders hurtle past and explode as they hit the step just below you. You carry on, warily climbing up the steps. Turn to 192. At last you reach the floor of the plateau itself. It seems your aching legs have forgotten how to walk on level ground. The vegetation is lush, like a tropical rainforest, and your clothes cling to you, damp with perspiration. As you pause to listen to the screech of a scarlet macaw, a group of hogmen burst from the vegetation in front of you. They are blue-grey, hairy, and have heads like tusked boars. Will you tell them that you mean no harm, turn to 151, or attack them, turn to 172? We're going to tell them... we're going to tell them that we mean no harm. So turn to 151. Pretty much Captain Picard's diplomacy in one sentence there. We mean you no harm. Anyway, they stare and you cannot be sure what effect your gestures are having, or even if they can understand you at all. Will you offer them some dried meat if you have any left? Turn to 133. Offer them a ruby if you have one. Turn to 122. Or attack them and turn to 172. We're going to offer them some dried meat. That means we have to lose some provisions. So go down to 8. And we're going to turn to 133. Okay, 133, here we go. Deduct 1 unit of provisions from your adventure sheet. Too late, you realise you are handing them salted pork. The hogmen are offended. They demand in grunts that you go with them to their village. Will you go with them? Turn to 365, or refuse? Turn to 172. We're going to go with them and turn to 365. Their village is composed of several elegant buildings made from wattle, daubed with clay. A deep dry moat and spiked palisade surround it. You are led through the village to what must be the head hog's dwelling, a 2-storied building, part of which is built from crumbling green stone. A huge mud wallow lies nearby. The head hog sits on a carved stone throne, his muscles rippling under his blue-black skin. He wears a red robe fastened at his thick neck with a necklace of amber. He seems at ease, but he demands to know why you, a human, are on the plateau. If you say that you mean no harm, you are searching for the portals on Mount Starreach, turn to 110. If you tell him you are looking for Lost City, turn to 90. And we're going to tell him that we're searching for the portals on Mount Starreach and turn to 110. There he is. To 110 we go. Here we are. The Hoglord says, I will help you, man-thing, for you may help me. An ancient red dragon has its lair within Mount Starreach. It is the guardian of the portals. The last time it awoke, which was before my children were born, it despoiled our villages. You must slay it before you can go through the portals. It breathes fire which one cannot withstand, save when one is sheltered by scales from the dragon itself. You must steal 3 of the scales from its lair and fashion a shield out of them. He gives you a parting gift, a stoppered gourd containing the gum of an amber pine, with which to make the shield. You dine with them on mangoes, nuts, and guavas, gain 2 stamina points. Don't need them. Okay, we do have the gum of an amber pine though, so let's put that in. Gum of an amber pine. Lovely. You thank them and leave. After a long climb you come to a wide cave mouth reeking of sulphur. The dragon's lair. You decide to enter. Turn to 7. Weren't they offended by the salted pork? What happened about that? You light a torch and enter the cavern, which stretches away into blackness. You scramble across the cavern floor until you see a small, smooth-walled tunnel branching off from the main tunnel. The strong smell of sulphur seems to pervade both. Will you walk down the wide and rocky main tunnel, turn to 378, or investigate the narrow tunnel, turn to 48? We're going to investigate the narrow tunnel and turn to 48. Here we are. You walk down the winding tunnel for some time until it opens out into a large cavern. In front of you is the ridged back of an immense dragon. It is about 18 yards long and is covered in thick red scales. Its long tail is curled round a vast hoard of treasure, gems, gold, goblets and vases, which lies higgledy-piggledy beneath its bulk. A few of its old scales are littered around it. Will you thrust your spear, if you have one, into its scaly back? Turn to 285. Try to grab some of its scales. Turn to 269. Try to grab some of the dragon's treasure. Turn to 38. Or leave the cavern. Turn to 369. We're going to grab some scales. So turn to 269. That's what we're here for. No need to get into a fight if we don't need to. 269. Here we go. You tiptoe forward stealthily and pick up 3 of the scales which the dragon has shed. Each is as long as a man's forearm. Cautiously you tiptoe out of the cave and continue up the mountain. Turn to 310. That was easy. Just put 3 scales. 3 dragon scales. 310, wasn't it? Do you have a gourd filled with gum of an amber pine? If you do, turn to 385. If you do not, turn to 369. We do have the gourd because I just wrote it down. 385. Oh, here we are. Pausing in a gully, you examine the scales. You fit them together to form a shield, and using the gum of the amber pine, you bond them together. Turn to 69. Here we are. You climb on, gasping for breath in the thin air. At last you reach the flat summit. The panorama is incredible. The whole plateau lies below you like a table, a collage of tropical forests, mountains, and huge lakes, which glisten in the sun. 30 yards away is a rectangle of shimmering silver, hanging in the air unsupported. You realize that this is the portal. As you step towards it, you hear the rushing of wind. Looking up, you see the ancient red dragon coming into land beside the portal. Outside its lair, the dragon is even more impressive and fearsome. Warmth and power seem to radiate from its body. I am bound by the gods to guard the portal, it says in its rich, mellow voice. Will you run to attack the dragon? Turn to 382. Tell him that death threatens the world? Turn to 358. Or threaten it? Turn to 275. Okay, there's the dragon. And there's the portal. Very impressive. Okay. We are going to run to attack the dragon. Turn to 382. Can't be reasoned with. As you charge at the dragon, it breathes a tongue of rolling flame at you. You crouch behind your shield, which protects you from the fiery blast. Before you can attack, the dragon, roaring in anger, swipes at the shield with a massive claw. Roll 2 dice. If the total is less than your skill score, turn to 34. If the total is equal to or greater than your skill score, turn to 79. Okay, let's test our skill. So we need less than 12 for this. And we get 7, that's good. Getting 12 is 1 out of 36 probabilities, so the odds are on my side. Anyways, what did we get? We got a 7, good. Then I got rid of the buzzing, okay. Total is less than your skill score, turn to 34. 34. Here we are. Deftly, you dodge the flailing claw and move into the attack. Do you have a spear? If you do, turn to 51. If not, turn to 10. We do have a spear. I called it the ebony spear, didn't I? Yep, we do. Okay, and we do have a spear, so turn to 51. You attack the dragon. I shall rend you limb from limb, it roars. The great claws swipe at you as it tries to crush your head in its enormous jaws. You dodge to one side as it leaps at you and thrust your spear at its soft underbelly. Red Dragon, skill 12, stamina 20. Each time you make a successful attack, deduct 5 stamina points from the dragon's total, as the magical spear seems to bite deep into its flesh. If you reduce the dragon's stamina to 5 or less, turn to 29. Okay, 12 and 20, and we do 5 damage every time. Okay, Red Dragon, 12, 20. Okay, here we go. Roll for the dragon first. 12, that's 24. I get 6, that's 18. So 24 to 18. So I lose the first attack round. My stamina goes down to 22. Let's continue on. Okay. He gets a 6, that's 18. I get 7, that's 19. So 18 to 19. That puts him down to 15 because we do 5 damage every time, which is quite good. Okay, next roll. He gets a 7, that's 19. I get a 7, that's 19. So 19 to 19, neither of us does any damage. Okay, so next he gets 10, that's 22. I get 6, that's 18. So 22 to 18, that means he wins. So I lose another 2 stamina points. Am I supposed to lose 5 as well? I hope not. I'll have a quick look. Yeah, each time I make a successful attack, yes. It's just me, not the dragon. Okay, next one then. He gets a 3, that's 15. I get 3, that's 15. That's a bit annoying. That was a good opportunity then. So no, neither of us does any damage. Okay, he gets 12, that's 24. I get 10, that's 22. So 24 to 22. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? Puts me down to 18. Okay, next he gets a 12, that's 24. I get 7, that's 19. So I'll just do this now. 24 to 19. Going a bit badly this fight, isn't it? 19, that wasn't it? Doesn't make any difference though. Okay, next attack round. He gets a 6, that's 18. I get 7, that's 19. So 18 to 19, that means I win. That puts him down to 10. Whoops. Okay, he gets a 9, that's 21. I get a 7, that's 19. 21 to 19. Puts me down to 14 now. Getting a bit dodgy there. Okay, he gets a 4, that's 16. I get an 8, that's 20. 16 to 20. That puts him down to 5. And it said, just get rid of the buzzing. It said when if you reduce a dragon's stamina to 5 or less, turn to 29. So we're turning to 29 now. Okay, so 29 we're going to, because we haven't at 5 or less. Glad I remembered that this time. So you only have to hit him 3 times, which is actually quite difficult. Suddenly your weapon is flailing at air. The dragon has changed into an old man with long white hair wearing a white robe. "Spare me, I beg you," he implores in a thin, reedy voice. "At last you have lifted the curse that was upon me. Only a strong warrior like you," not yourself, that's a redundant reflexive, "only a strong warrior like you could have done it. When I came through the portal many centuries ago, I was doomed to stay in the form of a dragon until I was beaten in combat. Now that I am myself again, I can return to my world. Will you step through the portal with me? Will you agree and walk with him into the silver shimmering portal, turn to 77, or attack him, turn to 12? We're going to attack him and turn to 12. Your first blow is fatal. Blood spurts from a gaping wound, and the old man falls to the ground. You step back as he turns once more into his normal form, that of a huge red dragon. The guardian dragon of the portals is dead. You step towards the silver shimmering portal. Turn to 400. This is it. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Bonesy. Hello, Bonesy. Before you step through the portal, you drink in the splendid view of this fantastic and magical world for a little longer. The glittering lakes and emerald forests shimmer in a haze of heat. The talisman is heavy at your chest. With a final prayer to the All-Mother, you step into the silvery screen of the portal, remembering the 4 crusaders who gave you your quest. You meet no resistance as you pass through the screen. All goes dark, and then a very different landscape lies before you. You are within a circle of standing stones. The smells, the air, the birdsong, everything seems strange, but you know that you have found your way back to Earth. You are a hero, saviour of the world of Orb, but there is no one here to herald your return. As you step away from the standing stones, voices speak within your head. The 2 beings who summoned you to Orb are thanking you for saving the world. At last they tell you who they are. Time, eldest father, youngest son, and Fate, keeper of the balance, both gods of Orb. As you leave this sacred place, their final words ring in your ears. "We may call upon you again." And that's that. Okay, so that's the end of Talisman of Death. Next book, when I next do one, will be Scorpion Swamp, and then after that I'll do Caverns of the Snow Witch. Caverns of the Snow Witch is a particularly difficult one, if you ask me. Can't remember about Scorpion Swamp, haven't done that one for so long. But yeah, Caverns of the Snow Witch is quite tricky. Anyway, that's the end of Let's Play Talisman of Death. Hope you enjoyed it. Next video will likely be Asterix in the Secret Mission on the Sega Master System. Been playing that recently. Not as good as the first Asterix, but it's doable. Anyway, 1 video for Asterix and 1 video for Obelix's levels. Anyway, thank you very much for watching again. I hope you can join me for next time. Goodbye.